Hey, champions, welcome back to another Sideline Strategy of the Week, where, as you know, an expert is here to share their quick tips on how you can level up your game within SalesLoft. And this week, Sheena Johnson, Senior CSM, is here once again, but this time she's here to talk about something super important to customers who are using both SalesLoft and Drift, and that's how to create a SalesLoft follow-up cadence after a Drift chat. So, Sheena, welcome back. Excited to have you walk through this.
Thanks, Brenda. Yeah, excited to be here. Almost a majority of my customers are customers of both Drift and SalesLoft, and some are using both platforms really well, but really bridging the two is an opportunity I think is untapped for many customers. So the idea of what we're going to talk through today is how to really pull those two together, which is great. Making sure that you're seeing more value from both platforms, but also some of the efficiency that we're seeing from customers that are already doing this. So I think in short, what we're going to talk about is really bridging three kind of core platforms. So looking at Drift initially with that first engagement with prospects, those leads flowing into Salesforce, and then what we can do is some automation in SalesLoft to continue warming them up and getting that meeting booked. So again, really good efficiency there. Different platforms probably would still work with Dynamics. Transparently, I haven't tried that out yet, but just thought we could do a quick walkthrough of that.
Do
So
it.
let me share my screen. Okay, perfect. So like I mentioned, leads are starting out by engaging in your website, and where this flow is really most valuable is those kind of loose end leads, I like to think of them as. So they've engaged with your bot, they've raised their hand, they're interested, but they didn't book a meeting and they didn't engage with one of your reps. So that said, we might still have an email, which means that they're still going to flow over to your CRM. So when we think about Drift settings and that flow of leads over to your CRM, again, looking at Salesforce, an example, this is kind of the hierarchy of how that lead owner is assigned. And so in this scenario, again, we're trying to catch those leads who did not book a meeting and who didn't actually have a rep routed in for live chat. And so the last person who closed the conversation is technically the integrations owner. So what we can do with that, though, is we can actually use it as a bit of a tag or a filter to continue nurturing and following up with these leads. Now, this is a bit out of my normal day-to-day, but from a Salesforce perspective, one way to kind of keep that journey going is we can create a flow within Salesforce. And this is continuing to kind of help build those flags that we can run our automation off of. So in this scenario, I'm looking at a trigger of a record created or updated, probably most likely created. So this could be unique to your business, but created or updated just as kind of that safety precaution. And then I'm looking at an owner ID of my integrations user, and then also a lead source of chat. So I'm using that to then update the record with a specific lead status and owner ID. Now, this owner ID specific again to your org could be a queue where it's assigned out through like round robin, or it could be a specific user. Again, your Salesforce expert can help you customize that. But we'll let this flow run. And then what we can do within Salesforce is create what I'm just calling Drift drop-off cadence. I'm looking at that lead source and lead status to identify my leads that, came from Drift, didn't book a meeting, didn't do live chat with a human. And then we can automatically create a person in SalesLoft and add them to my Drift drop-off cadence. So really simple. Again, even just to this point, we've taken out those manual steps. Maybe there was a queue before for those leads that were assigned to the integrations owner, but those were probably manually being assigned out or followed up on. So then from there, of course, the cadence itself can look different depending on your strategy, but really simple flow here could just be a simple message of, hey, looks like we missed you. here's my calendar link to book a meeting and continue to drive that forward. Like I said, I have a customer who's doing this. They just started about a month ago and they're already seeing really great results. So when we think about kind of those core SalesLoft metrics, we're seeing a really good reply rate, about 6%, almost 45% open rate, and 6% meetings booked. So good results there. Maybe a little bit of lifting with that flow if it doesn't already exist, but otherwise just native functionality of Drift and SalesLoft.
That's great. Those results are incredible. I think they speak for themselves, Sheena. And I think a lot of other customers are going to be so excited to see this walkthrough and the actual setup so they can put it into action themselves. So
Awesome.
thank you so much for sharing that with everyone. Champions, as always, if you have questions, drop them for Sheena in the comments and she can get back to you. Otherwise, I think that's it for this week. Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone. And Sheena, thanks again.
Yeah, great to be here.